there's a why behind why I started Janelle Financial Group, and the reasons are real. Hi, this is Greg Janelle from Janelle Financial Group, President and CEO. I think it's important to understand the why, and the why behind why I started. No one grows up wanting to be a loan officer as a kid, right? Like, you don't go and go and take your mom and dad's application when you're 6 to play. You're usually a fireman or a police officer or something cool. But there's a why behind why I started Janelle Financial Group, and the reasons are real. Back in 2003, my mother taught me how to be a witness-only closer. She's been in title for over 45 years. She taught me how to notarize, how to get people to sign certain things, and basically walk people through the process of closing. And what happened was that oftentimes I would get to a client's house and they wouldn't know or understand where any of these numbers came from. They wouldn't understand why they were placed in a certain loan program, why they were getting an 80-20, what that meant. There was times where I was sitting at a client's home at 8 o'clock in the evening. They would be frustrated, upset, in tears, literally in tears. And I'll never forget what it came to 05 and 06 and what was transpiring at that point in time. As a witness-only closer, you just go, okay, this is your note, and you're not a legal representative for anyone. And they start to ask you questions. You try to help them out the best you can. Well, when you start seeing option arms come through, and you go, man, this doesn't make any sense. How are they getting a 0.99% interest rate on their note? But the one in particular, I won't ever forget. I knew if I was heading to the middle of Michigan, middle of nowhere, and the loan officer was going to be at that house to help with the closing at 7 o'clock at night, I knew that the loan officer was making bank. And so typically I would only get documents a mere 15, 20 minutes before I had to leave. It's just the way the industry is. And I get there, and the loan officer meets me at the front door, and he says, hey, how well do you describe the fees? And I looked at the HUD-1 settlement statement at that time, and I go, I describe the fees. If they ask where this fee is going to go, I'm going to tell them that's a fee for the lender, or that's a fee for this, or that's a fee for that. I said, I'm not going to lament on the fact that you're screwing them because I'm an independent third party. But, if they ask where this $10,000 origination fee is going, I'm going to point right towards you. He didn't like that answer, but I didn't care. And I'll never forget it. So we get into the house. Loan officer sitting across from me. The borrower sitting at this end here. There's a wall here. And I can see his 2 beautiful little daughters playing in the family room. And the gentleman, the signer, he's just going like this. And his beautiful wife comes up and taps. She goes, what's wrong, honey? And he goes, I know if I sign this mortgage, we're going to lose our house in 2 years. And I know if I don't sign this mortgage here, we're going to lose our house in 6 months. And the loan officer's just sitting there going, well, what are you going to do, dude? And I felt sick to my stomach. And I called up the person that the notary service I was working for. We've been friends for years to this day. And I said, Mary, I can't do this anymore as far as, I made up excuses. I got a kid on the way. It was our first child. We were building a house. I mean, they're legitimate, but I said, I just can't do this anymore. I said, so just take me off the list for a while. I was taken off the list for several years until I decided to go back on. But what I decided to do in the meantime was I decided to become a loan officer. The reason being is I knew if that was my competition out there, I knew I could blow the competition out of the water because I actually care about people. These are people that did not care about anyone. They didn't care about who they hurt. All they cared about was their pocketbook. In a previous video, we went over our core values, and that's where our core values really kind of derive from. It's clients first is one of them. And so I left that day, that part, and I became a loan officer, and I knew I could do better. I knew I could give better service. I knew I could to take care of the client better. And that's why ultimately, 5 years ago, I started Janelle Financial Group, because I knew we could make the system better, the process better, the overall process more enjoyable. And that's where we really come from. That's where I come from. That's my why. What you didn't find in my why is to make a ton of money. I mean, obviously, if you work hard and you do well, the money will follow, but that's not the why. The why was because I really cared about those two little girls I'd never met and where they were going to live in the next 2 years. And I care about my 4 little boys and where they're going to live in the next couple of years. And everyone else that is a part of this company. Those are my whys. If I were to sit and tell you what the most stressful thing is about this job, it's wondering and worrying about my people and what happens in the market next, and how can we insulate them from any harm or any downturn in the economy. And so that's my why. I hope that kind of gives you a little bit of glimpse of where we come from, why we're here now, and where we're heading in the future as we grow. And that's always going to be the why. So thank you for tuning in, and Greg Janelle from Janelle Financial Group, and I hope you make it a great day.